Yun. Mabait ka na, wala ka na ibabait pa. Oh. Hello everyone, good morning. And Happy New Year to everyone. This is our first press briefing this year with me. And it sure is a sign of positive reports for the following weeks to come. Magandang umaga po sa lahat ng nanonood sa atin sa PTV4 at lahat din po ng nanonood sa atin sa Facebook at sa iba't ibang mga Facebook pages sa ibang network, be it TV, radio, or online. The Southeast Asian region is composed of 630 million people with a diverse number of ethnicities, religions, and languages. Ever since its inception in 1967, the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, ASEAN, has grown to 10 member countries covering more than 1.7 million square miles with an economy valued at $2.5 trillion. This unprecedented growth just proves that we are stronger together. We are one community with one shared identity, one vision. We are ASEAN. As the Philippines assumes chairmanship of the ASEAN 2017, which also coincides with its 50th year anniversary, our stride is weighed by a sense of pride and excitement as we step into the century and the world hand in hand. Our ASEAN 2017 theme rings true. We are partners for change, engaging the world. The role of the Presidential Communications Operations Office as the lead of the Committee on Media Affairs and Communications is to spread awareness and educate the public about the ASEAN. Our objective is to let every Filipino and ASEAN citizen know what their stake is in the community. ASEAN could be quite an intimidating subject for ordinary citizens. Our insights is that while 81% of ASEAN citizens have heard of the ASEAN, only 24% have a basic understanding of what it is and its purpose. This is alarming because every citizen benefits from this regional organization. It is the vision of PCO that every Filipino will know how ASEAN has benefited them. We created a campaign that speaks to everyone from all walks of life, from government workers, media, NGOs, civil society, the academe, business sector, the youth, and even the grassroots communities. The farmer has as much at stake in a unified ASEAN as a CEO of a multinational corporation. In order to do this, we plan to have road shows all throughout the year. We will travel to different barangays all over the country. ASEAN representatives from PCO will deliver talks, conduct seminars, and even distribute comics and other reading materials written in different Philippine dialects. This way, no one is left behind, and we reach those without access to the internet or traditional media. So how exactly has ASEAN benefited us? These 2017 themes answer the question. It is the role of PCO to communicate to the public by persuasive and creative executions made accessible to all through various mediums and channels. Number one, a people-oriented and people-centered will prioritize health and nutrition for ASEAN citizens and the social protection of women, the elderly, and disabled. We will also focus on the rights of our migrant workers and how we can ensure that they will not be exploited or mistreated. Number two, peace and stability. All the ASEAN members work together to keep the peace, to stop the proliferation of illegal drugs and terrorism. Number 3. To stop the proliferation of illegal drugs and to stop the proliferation of terrorism. Number 3, maritime security and cooperation ensures we protect our seas and the citizens who depend on it. Our fishermen and individuals who use these waters must be able to enjoy their rights and perform their tasks without feeling insecure about their safety. Due to the importance of shipping and seaborne trade in the region, we will need to conduct a series of workshops and dialogues to strengthen maritime security and cooperation. Number 4, inclusive, innovation-led growth means promoting entrepreneurship, especially micro, small, or medium enterprises. We will help employees become business owners, while our businessmen are encouraged to go digital in order to compete globally. Number 5, resilient ASEAN. We know that storms, droughts, and other natural catastrophes are impossible to prevent. But if we boost our region's contingency capabilities and risk management programs, we can make ASEAN disaster resilient and adaptable to climate change. Number 6, ASEAN, a model of regionalism, a global player. We are stronger together. Our unity gives us better influence in addressing critical issues that serve the world. On January 15, all eyes will be in Davao City as we welcome our brothers and sisters in the ASEAN community. We will officially launch ASEAN 2017 at the Davao SMX Convention Center, and PCO has partnered with different government agencies, led by the Department of Tourism, to create a memorable event that will set the tone to this important year-long commitment. PCO has created some videos, by the way, that will succinctly explain our ASEAN 2017 roadmap. For this conference, we will show 4 videos, 1 AVP to summarize the ASEAN 2017 agenda, and 3 others to briefly talk about the 3 pillars of ASEAN, namely political security, socio-cultural, and socio-economic in animation form.
The ASEAN is an organization founded on August 8, 1967. It was built to promote cooperation in the socio-cultural, economic, and political security pillars of the region. The Philippines will assume chairmanship of ASEAN 2017, which also coincides with the 50th year of the regional community. As the chair, the Philippines champions positive change in the community to produce a unified voice in the world. 6 thematic priorities were laid down to outline what the community needs in achieving holistic growth and development. Several major elements, outcome documents, policies, and agenda make up each of the 6 thematic priorities. A people-oriented, people-centered ASEAN. The ASEAN community puts its citizens' welfare at the center of its priorities, where the rights are protected and their well-being recognized as the key to the region's progress. Peace and stability in the region. This thematic priority aims to uphold peaceful coexistence and regional cooperation among its member states. Maritime security and cooperation. This adheres to the rule of law for the peaceful resolution of disputes and the preservation and protection of maritime resources. Inclusive innovation-led growth. This This will provide opportunities for business growth and will help improve regional capacity in responding to the demands of the global economy. Resilient ASEAN. This will cultivate a sustainable region that's prepared and responsive to disasters. And lastly, ASEAN, a model of regionalism, a global player. As one, the community aims to showcase its various capacities as a global player in the international arena. These 6 priorities will forge the future towards ASEAN's vision of an inclusive, united, and progressive community. As the past has united us, it is our promised future that will make us stronger. We are one ASEAN. This is our journey. This is our future. Together. ASEAN 2017. Partnering for change. Engaging the world.
There are 4 videos.
The ASEAN enforces a rules-based community that ensures our people enjoy human rights and freedom. A community that adopts a comprehensive approach to security and resolves differences and disputes through peaceful means. The region recognizes and respects shared values, norms, and the fundamental principles, which will make ASEAN more united and cohesive. The community aims to strengthen its engagement with other external parties, as well as respond to global developments and the ever-changing demands of the international arena. The ASEAN, as powered by its member states, seeks to build and create a more conducive environment towards a progressive world.
Last 2.
The ASEAN community is committed, participative, and socially responsible. The ASEAN upholds the principles of good governance, promotes high quality of life, equitable access to opportunities, and human rights. The ASEAN community shall reinforce itself with resiliency and effective mechanisms to meet the current and future needs of the people. Dynamic, harmonious, and united, the region stands as a community that's aware and proud of its identity, with a capacity to innovate and proactively contribute to the global community.
Last one.
The ASEAN community is highly integrated, competitive, and innovative. The ASEAN aims to develop a regional economy that supports sustained high economic growth by increasing trade, investment, and job generation. The ability to respond to global trends and international standards enable the region to advance a single market agenda through a more seamless movement of investment, skilled labor, and deeper integration in trade and services. It is a community that promotes productive growth with enhanced micro, small, and medium enterprises that will make the region more competitive and dynamic. The ASEAN community shall have a more enhanced role and voice in addressing international economic issues in the global arena.
There you go. Just 4 of the videos that we produced internally here at the PCO, led by the head of our branding, Howie. Where are you, Howie? Are you there? Yeah, there you go. Howie O. King is the one who produced that, of course, with Assistant Secretary Kissinger Reyes. There are more videos to come. Ibang videos naman ay para sa ibang merkado. May English, may Tagalog, and other dialects in comics, and in pamphlets. Allow me to also launch today our social media pages with our official hashtag ASEAN 2017. For Facebook, it's facebook.com/ASEAN 2017. For Twitter, twitter.com/ASEAN 2017. And our Instagram account is at ASEAN 2017. Aside from the launch, the PCO will coordinate and ensure the public has access to live streams, videos, and outcome documents so they can be aware and participate in the happenings during ASEAN 2017 summits, meetings, and events. We will take care of the media coverage with your help. Information will be available on our various social media sites and the ASEAN 2017 websites. We will also provide media coverage, logistics, internet connectivity for each of the ASEAN 2017 meetings, including, as mentioned, the ASEAN launch in Davao on the 15th of January, the 30th ASEAN Summit on April 2016, and the 50th ASEAN Ministerial Meeting and related meetings coinciding with ASEAN's 50th anniversary celebration here in Metro Manila by August, and the 31st ASEAN Summit at Clark, Pampanga in November. We look forward to a year that is both a challenge and a privilege, and the attention of the region and the world is on the country as chair of ASEAN 2017, and we will rise to every occasion. An even stronger ASEAN will begin here, one that is a model for thinking nationally, working regionally, and engaging globally. We are one ASEAN. Thank you very much. We also have with us today in our press briefing to give us the more substantive of the ASEAN 2017, including the meetings, when it will be held, ano mangyayari. You can address all those questions to USEC Enrique Manalo of the Department of Foreign Affairs. Thank you so much for listening. Now I give the floor to Undersecretary Manalo. Sir?
Thank you very much, Mr. Secretary. Members of the media, good morning, magandang umaga, and of course, a Happy New Year to all of you. I want to give just a few points here, state brief remarks, and then if you have any questions later, I'd be very happy to entertain them. And I'll be adding on a bit on what Secretary Andanar spoke about this morning. On January 1 this year, the Philippines officially assumed the chairmanship of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN, for the year 2017, which also happens to coincide with the 50th anniversary of ASEAN. This milestone event is an occasion for ASEAN to reflect on its success and achievements during the last 50 years and to prepare for the new challenges ahead in our region. As one of the 5 founding members of ASEAN, the Philippines has always been at the forefront of pushing for what is best for the region and its peoples. ASEAN itself is the fulcrum in which the current regional security architecture balances. ASEAN has been performing this function credibly, owing to years of success in espousing cooperation and cultivating peace and stability through the ASEAN way. Its peaceful and non-confrontational approach in resolving differences. The ASEAN community was formally launched on December 31, 2015, and this community envisions, quote, an outward-looking region with economies that are vibrant, competitive, and highly integrated, and an inclusive community that is embedded with a strong sense of togetherness and common identity, end quote. This community encompasses all facets of life as reflected by its political, security, economic, and social-cultural pillars. The Philippines is and has been active in all the 3 community pillars of ASEAN. All 3 communities are equally important for us to attain the ASEAN's Vision 2025 of a rules-based, people-oriented, and people-centered community with shared prosperity, where our peoples enjoy fundamental rights and freedoms and a higher quality of life. It's in this spirit that the Philippines aims for positive change in the lives of ASEAN citizens through initiatives that significantly impact on their lives. And we envision ASEAN's greater international engagement to advance our common interests. These are the guiding principles behind our chairmanship's theme, quote, partnering for change, engaging the world. And serving as our beacons for moving forward our national interests and that of the region are the 6 thematic priorities that the Philippine Chairmanship will pursue in 2017. I'll just repeat them as Secretary Andanar already went over them. Firstly, a people-oriented and people-centered ASEAN. Secondly, peace and stability in the region. Third, maritime security and cooperation. Fourth, inclusive innovation-led growth. Fifth, ASEAN's resiliency. And sixth, ASEAN as a model of regionalism and a global player. These thematic priorities shall guide the work of the relevant Philippine government departments and agencies throughout the year. Under each thematic priority, the Philippines will be pursuing, among others, the adoption of important documents, the conduct of activities in ASEAN, the crafting of work plans, action agendas on vital issues and areas such as peace and security in the region, maritime cooperation, health and nutrition, the environment, women and children, migrant workers, radicalization and violent extremism, trade and investments, medium and small-scale medium enterprises, and innovation and inclusive growth. Now, in preparing for our substantive participation and our role as chairman of ASEAN, the ASEAN Secretary General, Le Lung Min, and his team from the ASEAN Secretariat conducted a working visit to the Philippines last month. And during this visit, the Department of Foreign Affairs, as the lead agency for the ASEAN Political Security Pillar, the Department of Trade and Industry, as the lead of the ASEAN Economic Community Pillar, and the Department of Social Welfare and Development as the lead of the ASEAN Social Cultural Pillar, along with our other relevant agencies, held consultations with these officials of the Secretariat to discuss the Philippines' priorities during our chairmanship and how we can coordinate with the ASEAN Secretariat throughout the year. Now, to carry out its priorities and that of ASEAN in 2017, the Philippines will be hosting around 100 meetings spread throughout select cities and regions of the country. And these will include, as mentioned earlier, the 2 leaders-level summits in April and November. With 2017 being the 50th anniversary of the founding of ASEAN, the Philippines will also organize commemorative activities to celebrate this milestone, in addition to the ASEAN meetings that we will be holding. Activities in support of our chairmanship are also being planned by our Philippine embassies, missions, and consulates abroad. Thank you very much, and good day.
Questions? Pia Rañada or Undersecretary Manalo, to be followed by Raymond Pinasa. Microphone, TVM.
Good morning, Sec. Hello. Okay. Good morning, USEC. Sir, the South China Sea dispute has always been part of the agenda of the ASEAN summits, even in the past. And as chairman, President Duterte will have a lot of influence on the agenda. So, but we also know that President Duterte has a strategy to not mention the Hague ruling just yet, given our friendship with China. So, has there been any discussion on how the dispute will be tackled during the summit? And as early as now, has the President given any directive on how it will be tackled? Will the topic be avoided?
No, the issue of the South China Sea, of course, is in the agenda of the ASEAN. In fact, we will be undertaking ongoing work throughout the year, focusing on the unfinished Code of Conduct for the South China Sea and the declaration of the Code of Conduct, the principles of the Code of Conduct. In fact, one of our main goals this year, in cooperation with China, not only Philippines, but ASEAN and China, is to try and arrive at a framework for the Code of Conduct for the South China Sea by the end of the year. That will be one of our main priorities. And I think all of this work will be consistent with the environment that we're now facing in the South China Sea on how we can address the disputes, not only the Philippines, but our other members of ASEAN as well. So I think definitely that will be an issue before us during our chairmanship.
But sir, will the Hague ruling be discussed during the summit?
Well, actually, there's no need to really discuss the Hague ruling because it already exists. It's already a part of the law, the international law, so it's there. And the focus will be, of course, on I think the priority now is to try and get a code of conduct.
But surely the Hague ruling as an international law, won't it be a consideration in forming a code of conduct that will guide the maritime cooperation?
Well, I assume it would be. But the code of the Hague ruling will not be on the agenda in the sense that it's already part of international law. So there's really can't discuss the ruling. It's there.
Related, Ina Andolong.
Good morning, sir. Sir, how do we then reconcile the idea of us working for a code of conduct by the end of the year with China, and at the same time receiving reports that China continues to build military structures in Scarborough Shoal? I mean, aren't we making an appeal to China to stop in disputed areas? Let me clarify. How are we not going to make an appeal to China to stop these pending the finalization of the COC?
Well, that's the challenge we face in coming up with a framework. It's not only the Philippines who faces this challenge, but other claimant states in the region. And I think the whole purpose of the Code of Conduct is to try and see how these disputes can be managed in a peaceful way and in a non-confrontational way. And this is the position that the Philippines and the other ASEAN countries will be taking when we discuss a possible framework for the Code of Conduct and the implementations of the principles on the declaration of the Code of Conduct.
Raymond Tinasa.
Hi, sir. So during the previous administrations, during the previous Leader Summit, we witnessed some clear heated engagement during the dialogue, especially there are open neighbor or member ASEAN countries who are pro-China. And now that we have the new foreign policy of the president more friendlier to China, do we see a different scenario atmosphere during our hosting?
Well, we certainly hope we will have a pleasant scenario during our chairmanship. But we will be guided by our national interests. We'll also be guided by the concerns of our ASEAN colleagues. And we will talk to China in a way where we will push forth our interests, just as we expect China will play theirs, put forth theirs. And we will see how we can discuss that. But certainly, we need to have a discussion, at least an atmosphere which is conducive for productive discussion, and that's what we will aim for.
Aside from the West Philippine Sea issue, I understand the President already made some rounds and consultations with his fellow ASEAN leaders to get their consensus of what to put forward on the table during the Leaders Summit. And after your consultations also with your counterparts, maybe know at least what are the key priority or topics agenda we will put forward during the meetings?
Oh, I think I'll need another briefing on that because there are really quite a lot. It's, as was mentioned, we have the 6 priorities. And just to give you an idea, in fact, only on one priority, for example, on peace and stability in the region, where we will be focusing on areas such as preventing or combating radicalization, violent extremism. We also will be looking at other maritime security issues, not only in the South China Sea. And so you can already see that there will be quite a number of issues, not only on even on non-traditional issues such as ASEAN resiliency, which is one of our combating natural disasters, preventive action. I think all of these issues will be taking up, we will be taking up during our chairmanship. So there are quite a number, and I think probably what I would be very useful is perhaps even before meetings to give maybe a more detailed presentation. But there are really quite a number very difficult to enumerate. And we also expect other issues may come up during the year which we're not aware of yet. But certainly we have to be prepared. But I think the 6 thematic priorities we have already singled out would basically cover, in broad terms, the major concerns of the Philippines and the ASEAN countries.
Thank you, sir.
Celerino Mundo.
Good morning, sir. Sir, follow up on Pia's question. Regarding the Hague ruling, during last year's summit, I believe the Philippines tried to include in the joint communique or joint statement that ruling, but we failed to do so. So in this case, are we expecting, or is it safe to say that there will be mention on this particular ruling, or there will be none?
Well, I can't look into the future, but just to make a point, actually the Philippines did not fail. It's just there was no consensus. Because, before we can get anything into an ASEAN, we need to have an ASEAN consensus. But anyway, that being said, I think, as I mentioned already earlier, the Hague ruling is a fact. It's a fact of law. So there's nothing really to discuss about it. It's there, and it's up for all countries to observe it as they wish. But I think what's important is that certainly the South China Sea will be an issue during it in terms of the Code of Conduct and the DOC. And that in itself is really a major challenge which we will have to face during the year, to see if we can come up, as I said, with a framework which would involve the agreement of China and the rest of the ASEAN countries.
So, sir, just to push on that issue, so definitely there will be no mentioning of that ruling if ever in the joint communique.
I can't predict what will be done, but as I said, we're looking at the Code of Conduct and the DOC.
I just want to ask why the summit per se will be in Clark.
Why it will be? But I think that was the decision of the NOC. They were the one. I mean, it was identified that would be the part. I think perhaps someone else would be in a better position why they picked that place. But the thing is, it will be one of the 2 summits, at least as of now, are being planned to be held there.
Okay, thank you, Celerina. Marlon, and then Laila.
Good morning, Yusek. With the Philippines being the host of this year's ASEAN summit, did the President give any instruction, order for the NOC or the DFN on how to handle issues which he's very vocal about, particularly drug trafficking, maritime cooperation, terrorism, and climate change?
Yes, I think the President has already fully approved all the points that we have said and mentioned to you today. And as I said, not only the President, but I believe our other ASEAN partners are also on board. So I think in that sense, we all share these common concerns, as you mentioned, especially those issues you mentioned, drug enforcement, combating terrorism. Those will be key points, which not only the President and the Philippines will be pushing, but even our ASEAN colleagues.
But did he give any specific instruction or order, lalo na dun sa in the crafting of the COC?
Yeah, he approved everything that we mentioned here. Those are his orders.
No, but did he give his own input?
Yeah, he said he approves all of the move towards our efforts on terrorism and battling violent extremism, etc.
Maybe the Secretary Andanar could also help answering the next question, because I'm just wondering how the Philippine government would go about educating the Filipinos, the public, regarding the ASEAN integration. Will there be any specific events or discussions on that?
Here in the Philippines?
Here in the Philippines?
In the Philippines?
About ASEAN.
Yes, that's ASEAN integration. Economic.
Yeah. Thank you, Marlon. As mentioned earlier, we will have a roadshow, and one this coming January 14th, right, in Davao City. And the roadshow will essentially show everyone and give everyone a rundown of what will happen during the ASEAN 2017 ministerial meetings and the summit itself, including roadshows that will also include those in the barangays and the puroks. Therefore, we have materials prepared targeting different markets of society.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Marlon. Thank you, Secretary Laila with Yusek Manalo. Yusek Manalo.
Good morning, sir. Will there be an ASEAN Plus 3 summit during this year, during the Philippine hosting of the ASEAN Plus 3? Will there be?
Yes, we will have not only the ASEAN summits, but the ASEAN Plus 3, and we will also have with our dialogue partners individually. We'll also have the EAS summit, East Asian Summit.
How do we see the ASEAN Plus 3 summit influencing the crafting of the Code of Conduct in the South China Sea?
Well, the Code of Conduct is between ASEAN and China. So officially, the ASEAN Plus 3 does not tackle this issue.
Thank you.
MPC, questions? Pia Reñada.
Yusek, how is President Duterte preparing for his role as host? Is he getting briefings on the top topics to be discussed? And second level to that question would be, will he also be briefed on protocol, for example, because in past summits, we know that he missed some events. And given the kind of guest he was at summits, what kind of host will he be this year?
The President is being fully briefed on every step of the way. And he will be, and of course, all our officials will be holding regular meetings with the President and also with each other as we proceed during our chairmanship. So the President, in fact, has been briefed in quite detail on this, even last year before we became chairman.
In Andalong?
Sir, are representatives of the state leaders arriving expressed maybe any concerns on security threats in the country during the summit? And if so, how are you allaying their fears and what measures are you undertaking?
Well, I'm not aware of anything to that effect. But we are assured, of course, that full preparations are being made, of course.
MPC questions? May invitation na Yusek sa mga leaders na pupunta, and kasi sa East Asia pumupunta yung US President and Russian President. Nagpalabas na tayong invitation with them, sir?
No, not yet. First of all, hindi pa presidente si so we have to wait. But yes, we will in due course be sending out the invitations to all the heads of state of the EAS in November. The meeting's in November, so we will at the appropriate time send out the invitations.
Including China, Japan, and South.
All of them. In fact, we will be having our summits with them individual too, so they will all be receiving those invitations.
So kasi sa Laos, isang beses na lang ginawa yung ASEAN leaders meeting. Tayo, we decided na gawin April and November.
Well, actually, yung sa Laos, that was the special case. Kasi Laos sought the approval of ASEAN to have only a back-to-back. But the normal ASEAN way is to have two separate summits, one just amongst the ASEAN, and then the rest with our partners.
Vic Sumintak?
Sir, may we know how much is the budget intended for hosting the 2017 ASEAN?
I think the NOC would be the right. Well, I only know what I read, but I think the NOC would be the best body to ask on the exact figure of the budget.
Okay. MPC? Okay na? No more questions? Henry Uri, DZRH. Microphone, yan.
Sir, ano ho ang inaasahan natin pakinabang ng publiko pagkatapos nitong ASEAN Summit na ito para po saan? Ano ang magiging pakinabang ng sambayan ng Pilipino rito?
Well, first, through the economic front, a stronger ASEAN economy. Makaka-benefit lahat ng tao, not only in the Philippines, but across the ASEAN region. In terms of social welfare, greater participation of the citizenry, not only for the Philippines, but for the region. And ang sinabi ni Secretary, greater awareness of ASEAN and our role as a region, tsaka yung influence natin not only in the region, but beyond the region. So we see so many benefits that can result from this year, hopefully, especially during this 50th anniversary in those various areas. Also in the area of security, yung combating drugs, terrorism, violent extremism, magkakaroon ng cooperation with the ASEAN countries, hopefully, to jointly see how we can work together to prevent that scourge of terrorism. So I really see many ways that we can benefit, and our job is to see how we can pursue this effectively as chairman in the coming year.
Si Marlon muna din, Pia.
Sir, just a brief discussion on what the public should expect on the launch on January 15. Will there be leaders attending or just foreign ministers of the ASEAN members?
I think this will be mainly a domestic affair. But of course, the diplomatic corps, I think, will be there sa Davao for the opening.
Sir, this time with the ASEAN being held in the Philippines, will the President be seated next to the UN Secretary General and the next President of the US?
Malalaman natin before November.
Thank you.
Okay, Pia?
USEC, this will be the first international summit to be hosted under the Duterte admin. So did the President give any specific directives on how it will be done? For example, in previous events, he was very keen on making sure it's simple. He didn't want to feed mga diplomats food, like he just wanted to feed them soft drinks or something. So will there be something like that for the hosting this of ASEAN 2017?
No, our job is to be sure that it's effective and that we do our job and that it truly reflects the 50th anniversary of the ASEAN. So we will be doing our best. Those are our instructions.
Okay, Marlon? Last question from Marlon.
Tanong lang kanina, Sir Nina, is there any specific security threat on the hosting, or did any member states raise this concern?
I'm not aware. We haven't received anything on that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Undersecretary Enrique Manalo. Thank you, Malacanang Press Corps, Presidential Communications Secretary Martin Andanar. Okay, thank you.
So much. We have an 11:30 with spokesperson Abelia, so we're good. Thank you so much. Let's give Yusek Manalo a round of applause. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Secretary Martin Andanar. Thank you, Undersecretary Manalo. Thank you, Malacanang Press Corps. Back to our main studio sa Radyo ng Bayan at PTV 4.